everybody, and welcome to the Tesla Life number 241. Here we are on the 16th of February, 2022. Welcome all to the show, and looks like we have a new winner for the first person in the chat room. Looks like Robert William added first this week. So
nice.
Congratulations, Robert. You get no prize. I just thought I'd throw that out there right now. But yeah, if you're in the chat room, please let us know where you're from, what city. That'd be nice to see as the day rolls on, as the show rolls on. So send us a note as to where you're based.
Closely by David.
I'm in Kitchener. And of course, Casey is in the Washington, D.C. area. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing quite well. We had below freezing yesterday, and today we had nearly 60 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah.
And then tomorrow you're getting socked with a storm.
Probably. It only makes sense. At least it may rain to rinse off some of the salt off the truck, the Model X. We'll see.
Very good. Also with us, joining us is Patrick Connor from the left coast. How are you today, sir?
I'm good. I want to apologize to everybody for not breaking in during the intro with some smart remark, because I realized as the intro was rolling that the sound wasn't coming into my headphones. It was coming out the speaker, and that I was going to have all kinds of feedback and problems if I didn't fix that before the show started. So that's what I spent my 30 seconds on, instead of coming up with something.
I thought you were letting 1 week slide, Patrick. I really did.
No, I was all ready to jump in there, and then I was like, oh no.
So it was behind the scenes technical scramble trying to get things working.
Yeah,
I appreciate the attention to quality over quips.
Yes, quality over quips. Yes. That's funny because it rhymes, because we're all about that here. We're on a mission to end emissions.
We're all about that. Yes.
We want a future free from fossil fuels. Any alliterations, fun time.
Fun times, baby. Fun times having a future free from fossil fuel.
There you go. Well, let's get rolling. We got a ton of news. Nothing surprising there. First story this week is about the Gigafactories. Unfortunately, Gigafactory Berlin production has gotten pushed back again with bureaucratic delays, it seems. They have decided that they're thinking it's going to be March now before they get into a production. There has been pushback from the government authorities about getting votes finally done, getting final permits submitted. But I don't know. I don't get it. We're far into where I thought both of the Gigafactories would be up and running at this point. We are now mid-February. I thought end of January would be the latest, based on what things were looking like. And we have another story about Gigafactory Texas a little bit further into the show. But Berlin has
today. Berlin has been
a disappointment. It certainly has been a disappointment in them getting rolling. We know that they've produced a number of batches of vehicles, and the German government approved them to do another batch of 2,000 vehicles, again for quality assurance and such. But I don't get it. You've got a factory. It's built. Yes, it has to be built to a certain level. It has to be approved that they have made that level. But my gosh, no one's walking away from this factory. Like, come on, let's bend some rules here. Let's get the factory producing, helping the company that put it together, and start putting more of these emission-free vehicles into the European market. It's disappointing. I have to say that.
Patrick used bureaucrat. It was extremely effective.
Yes, it's a power card. It's OP, baby. Yeah,
I am sure Patrick would like to see both of these things up and running.
Of course,
no question.
But just Texas a minute earlier. That's all.
So, I know you're sort of appalled by it, but I'm not surprised. I'm still disappointed, but not surprised. That we know that the auto industry is huge in Germany. It's one of their major exports. They have political power. They're not happy with some little upstart coming in and taking over their bailiwick. So they're going
Whipper
to have
snatchers.
political clout. They're
Snipers.
going to use it, and they're going to do. This is probably not the last delay. In fact, we should poll the people on the show right now and in the chat. When do they think the first customer vehicle will come out of Giga Berlin? And right now, we know it's not going to be February. It'll be at least March, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was June.
Yeah.
June of 2028.
Wow!
Wow. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that even if they get started, it doesn't mean that they won't have more roadblocks. Even if they, have started serial production for customers and they get to go ahead for everything, there may be some dung beetle that comes out of the forest and then they got to wait.
Yeah, or they have to export them out of Germany. They can't deliver them.
Oh my gosh! Yeah,
the Texas of
let's
Northern Europe.
Let's pull a Texas. Yeah, and that's another thing that we want to see Texas start to roll out cars so we can see how they're going to actually deliver them in Texas. It's it's something that we speculated on. A quick trip up to Tulsa, a spin around and back. Who knows? But
I still contend
that's going to be interesting to see.
That the best way for them to handle Texas would be to export everything from Texas and then have to explain to their constituents why they can't buy a car that they just built and buy it.
Yeah. Make them buy the ones that are still being made in Fremont. Yeah. Wouldn't that be something? Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see Wheels handle that. yeah, Elon, shake my hand.
Wheels. You're speaking, of course, about the governor.
It was a little rude, but he's a public figure, so he can handle
it. He's been called worse, I'm sure.
This is true. I could have gone worse, but I am a gentleman.
Your mama raised a gentleman.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. Okay. Well, we'll let Casey get along with this next story then. What's going on with a feature rollback?
Yes, so I don't know that I'd call it a feature rollback as much as it is that the group that saddled us with noisemakers because they didn't want to retrain the seeing eye dogs because they thought that electric cars were too quiet, but Bentleys weren't. So somebody complained to the government, and they realized that the Teslas weren't making any noise anymore in forward if they had the PWS, the pedestrian warning speaker. And even worse, you could pick your own sound if you were rolling forward and in the Boombox feature, and they didn't like that because, coconuts, farts, they were not civilized enough. And then there was also the folks who thought they were clever and picked a silent pedestrian warning sound, and that was can't have that. The car's already silent, but no, you can't pick silent. And so,
but you can because you can go in and remove the speaker, and you can modify your own car. It's your property.
Right. I mean, because the whole problem I've had with this whole thing is not that I don't care for the deaf or the blind. The problem is that I'm still responsible if I hit them. So,
right.
Unless this was all a very clever ploy to shift the blame when some legislator runs over a blind person or a deaf person. Even then, I still don't see how that works. You were driving the car, so
yeah, this is bureaucracy run amok. Not unlike the last story,
right? A theme. Mm-hmm. So for the recall, you don't have to bring your Tesla in anywhere. You just wait for the next software update, and then they will disable Boombox mode in drive, neutral, and reverse.
Okay, so you can still do Boombox in park.
Yeah.
So it's not totally disabled.
No, it's not totally disabled. And that's where it's most useful anyway. I mean, it was fun in the other modes, but...
What about driving with the ice cream truck noise as you're driving down the road slowly in a big residential area?
I thought that was cool. So what I'm hoping is that in a future update, they let you play the ice cream truck over the... broken static. And
right, because ice cream trucks are not running over.
They do tend to draw children.
they have a big gas engine that makes noise. That's the problem.
But see, that's where Bentleys and Rolls Royces and other large, quiet luxury automobiles are exempt because they have gas engines. but hybrids. So that's why every Toyota sounds like trash, because the sound that they chose for most Toyotas sounds like it's broken. And every time I hear the sound, because there aren't enough Toyotas around here that have the speaker, I'm like, somebody's car is dragging something along the road. No, it's a Toyota.
So yeah, if the concern is safety, it should be all cars below a certain decibel level have to have a noisemaker. But that's not what it is. It's
Right.
based on
That was what got to me, is that the fact that they were
yeah.
uneven with their application told me that it was BS. Sorry, continue.
Yes. I'm down with that.
Yeah. So again, looks like politics kind of played into this somehow, and Tesla was stuck with the noisemaker, even though other cars are just as quiet and not required. So
yeah.
And then if you actually try to make noise with your noisemaker, no, you have to make our noise, not any noise.
Right.
Well, as soon as they allowed you to upload your own noise that could be no noise at all, I understood that this probably was going to be the end result.
I wonder if we could get them for First Amendment violations, because there were people who put some questionable sounds on there, but it was their right to do it. It was free speech.
That's an interesting angle. Where's the show lawyer? Let's give him a call. Hello?
Right.
Yeah.
So the other thing that got to me with that was that obviously, how it's applied, as far as, it's not really a typical recall. I totally forgot where I was going with that.
Well, that's all right.
I don't like the fact they call them a recall.
Well, I mean, legally, we need another name for it, for these types.
We do. Yes, that would help.
I remember now. So they did every car from 2019, except for Model 3. They roped in cars from 2017 where it wasn't legally required, which is more BS. If you added the PWS to your Model 3s somehow, because you don't have the wiring harness, then you should be allowed to continue to not make a sound because it wasn't required of your car.
Correct. They can't retroactively make a requirement.
Another way we could get them.
The Tesla mobile service van has been going around quietly at night to driveways looking for cars in 2017 and 18 that did not have the upgrade, and they're putting the wiring harness in the car overnight, just because.
And if you unplugged your speaker, he's plugging you back in.
and they can do it, man. They have the pass to get in, so they can do it if they want. So
I'd like to see them explain to Elon how they're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
That campaign.
Where's that sit on the balance sheet? The covert at night harness installs. Exactly. Well, Casey has got a Model X, so he thought he would take this next story. Patrick has one too, but Casey put dibs on it first.
Yeah. So when we put this story in the chain, it said Model X, but now it says Model 3, and in the picture it's Model 3. But I'm going to continue the story anyway. So in Germany, somebody stole this model something. I'm assuming Model 3 now. And there's another good story of, using the Tesla app, it'll tell you the GPS position of the car, and they were able to retrieve it. So good news all around. The thieves were able to steal, so it is for sure a Model 3. They were able to steal the owner's key card, which made it possible for them to start the car and drive away. Another case for pin to drive. If you have pin to drive and they've stolen your key, they still can't start the car. Unless
I was wondering how they stole the car.
Right.
Now you answered that.
Yeah, so the only other way that would work, there is a workaround that hasn't been patched yet, but most thieves aren't that savvy, and so unless you've written your password as 1234, oh man, that's my luggage. You put that on the dashboard with a sticky note, they can't start your car and get away. So.
Yeah, and again, it's probably the easiest police chase for a department in all time, because of course, once the person discovers the car has been stolen, they just open up their app and it tells them exactly where the car is, how fast it's going, if any doors are open, and they just relayed that to the police over the phone and help the police zoom in on them. Like they knew within seconds where the car was, what direction they were heading, how fast they were going, if they were stopping at all, if they made a change of direction. It's all there. So again, thieves aren't the smartest people on the block, and the more that as we've seen from other aspects of Tesla, such as Sentry Mode and other things, they're not everyone is learning at the same speed.
Yep.
The
So,
thing about this article that I liked was when the owner comes out, car's gone.
yeah,
It thinks, oh, well, maybe it got towed away for some parking violation or something. Opens the app, sees that the car's doing 99 miles an hour.
nice.
If it's going 160 kph, you know that's not a tow truck.
It better not be. So with that same situation that you bring up the app, on the non-legacy cars, you can pull up your remote Sentry view, assuming you're paid up on your remote connectivity, and you remember to turn on Sentry Mode, but you can still turn on Sentry Mode. If it was on a tow truck, a friend of mine actually did this. This car was being taken off the side of the road to wherever it needed to be, handle the flat tire. The view he sent us in our little private group was the light bar of the tow truck looking out over the road. So you'd be able to tell that even if for some reason your car goes back into an older mode that it used to do, where when it was in park it didn't care where it was anymore. Sentry Mode would allow you to at least see where it is. Another thing that brings up with the app is once it is rolling, you can't really turn on chill mode and speed limit mode, but once it stops, that will go into effect. So they will be doing whatever, and then when they come to a stop and you flip it on, they'll be limited to say 50 miles an hour or something to that effect. You can also then turn on pin to drive, so that once they put it in park, they can't move it again.
That's awesome to know. Yeah, I didn't think about turning it on after the fact.
Yep. And so
you can't, if you enable pin to drive on the app, does it ask you for the pin at that point, or does it just ask the driver for the pin when the car stops?
So once they put it in park, they can't then get it back restarted unless they know the new pin. So even if they
in the
can
app,
you set the pin?
Can you
in the
set
app?
the actual pin code in the app?
I believe so.
And not just turn on the feature. And
because my thought might have been that if you flick it on to pin to drive, the next time he goes into park, it will ask the driver, okay, enter your pin code to be used. And then he would have your pin. He would have the actual pin code.
But then you still can put in your Tesla account password and turn it off, whatever he picked.
Oh, that's true.
And he might not remember what he put. But then so the only way the cops have it easier than a Tesla is a GM vehicle where somebody's paying for OnStar with the slow down, turn on the blinkers immediately function. Are you following him? I'm gonna blink the light 3 times. They blink the light 3 times, and it starts slowly getting down to 0 miles an hour. Now they've got a foot chase.
Right. Tying our last story together, if Boombox were still a feature, you could upload a new one saying, "You are so busted. The cops are on you. You're going to get caught."
Right. You can say, "Hey, cops, it's this one, the blue one."
Or upload siren sounds so he freaks out.
The most connected car on Earth.
And so
major error.
This goes in a trend we've seen with stolen Teslas. They are in the States. They've got like a 99 point something recovery rate, and in Europe, I think they've had 4 or 5 that were officially lost, and that was the case. They put them in a lead line trailer and immediately chopped them up. So it's just one of the most stupid cars you can steal in the world.
Yeah. All right. Next, speaking of cars, Patrick's got a story about the number of cars sold.
Yeah.
That is right. So our current era of EVs started with the Roadster, and then we had the Leaf and the Volt come in 2010, and they've been growing and gaining market share every year, and now plug-in car sales in total are approaching 5% in the US for last quarter, and that is great to see. This is some data that is coming to us from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, and they're using Ward's Intelligence as their service here. And so they've tracked battery electric vehicles, plug-in hybrids, and hybrids. So There's some cool graphs if you can share those. The first one is just sales. So hybrids are up to 6%, which surprised me. Hybrids got pretty quickly up to 2%, and then just languished between 2 and 3% for a long time. And it looked like they had that was it. That was all the market share they were ever going to get. There was a niche of 2 or 3% of drivers. That's what they preferred, and nobody else. Well, after 2019 to today, it's gone from 2% to 6%, which is great. You can see when the Model 3 came out in 2018 on the electric vehicle sales, because it jumped. It jumped from like 0.5% to almost 2%, and now it's up to 3.4%. So it's continuing to grow, and plug-in hybrids are 1.5%. And as we all know, plug-in hybrids are a gateway drug. Once you have that and you plug it in, you get used to having an electric motor and batteries as part of your vehicle experience. You're like, oh, that's the way better mode to be in. The fueling costs are cheaper, it rides quieter and smoother. It's just more fun, peppy. And once the gas generator kicks in, it's just nowhere near as fun. And you have exhausts, and it's just clunky. And so this is great to see. The numbers are going up every quarter. And one of the things the reason that I've been tracking this is I've predicted that this decade is when it's going to cross the chasm. So if you know that term, crossing the chasm, it's pretty easy to get a small market share with anything, because there's always going to be some percentage of customers that get it. But once you get above about 18%, that's when it breaks through the early adopters, and it can go into the early majority. And once that happens, you can get into huge volumes. So that's going to happen this decade, if I have anything to say about it.
Well, it already has in Norway.
That's right. Exactly. Yes. And if we can get that to happen in China and in the US, the end of this decade is going to be radically different than the beginning, as far as what our personal transportation is fueled by and how much emissions we have. During the COVID shutdown, we saw clear skies, cities that had mountain vistas that no one that has lived there for the last decade had ever seen. And they're like, wow, this is incredible. We could have blue skies and clear air. And so I really hope that we can do that again. I want tailpipes to become obsolete. There was a while when smoking was prevalent, and it sucked when I was a kid. At the grocery store, at the bank, everywhere, people were
in restaurants,
in doctors'
on
offices.
the airplane.
I mean, yeah, on airplanes, yeah. And restaurants would have a small no smoking section.
As if the little curtain would actually do anything.
Right, and some of them didn't even have curtains, and the air just is going to, yeah, it was horrible. And so that has radically changed. So I want to see the same thing happen with tailpipes. I want them to be the new smoking and go away. And this is especially relevant. I didn't know this. There's a movie, Thank You for Smoking. Musk has a little cameo in it, and he was one of the executive producers, so funded it. And yeah, so it's all about the merchants of death, alcohol, tobacco, firearms, and it follows this alcohol lobbyist, smoking lobbyist, sorry, and just some of the tactics they use to push their agenda. And it really is eye-opening, and it's old now, but you can expect the same thing from the gas companies, the big oil, and some folks in the auto industry that don't want to switch over, want to keep doing what they're doing just because they're like, hey, it was good enough for the last 100 years. It should be good enough for the next 100 years. And we don't have to take it. So anyway, these are all good signs. One of the graphs in here shows how many new models there are. And you can see the number of electric models go up from about 100 worldwide in, maybe this is US, in 2014 to almost 500 models now. So that's great, because more models mean more options to meet people's individual needs. Not everybody's going to be good with a sedan. So that is a projector of future sales. And as you see this going up, you can expect the sales numbers to follow.
Yep, more choice equals more people getting on board the EV train, definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. And then it's that same vein that Patrick was talking with the marketing. It's the same trick they use to shift the blame for pollution onto us consumers for not recycling,
Right.
even though it was the producer's fault for making the products that way. And yeah, you shouldn't be throwing stuff on the ground, but if what you threw on the ground was either inert or biodegradable, it wouldn't be as big a deal as if it was plastic.
Yeah,
and I do have to go ahead, Patrick.
Okay, individuals certainly play a role, but the policies make a huge difference. And so blaming individuals for poor policy is just a way for them to perpetuate poor policy.
Absolutely.
And I've plugged them on the show several times before. There's a podcast called Drilled, where it's an investigative reporter, and she digs into this stuff and finds out some of the horrible things that these companies have been doing so that they can continue with their agenda. And so they can deceive you. So they make it look like they do a lot of greenwashing and other things. And she's got great documentation on all of it.
And I do have to point out that this article, which with all the other articles we point out, will be listed in the show notes. You'll click on the links and read as you wish. And not too long ago, I remember when we were talking about sales figures for the United States for electric vehicles, it wasn't even 0.25%. Now it's almost reached 5%. So that's a big change in the past little while. Before the Model 3 became a prevalent car, I remember thinking, man, this is a really low number, not even 0.5%. How are we ever going to get to a point where it's the tipping scale? But unlike other things, this is not a linear chart. It seems that it's more of that hockey stick analogy, that it starts off really slow and then all of a sudden it goes almost vertical and surpasses the median ground and jumps above it. So hoping that's the case. Now that we've hit that 5%, I think we're coming up to the hockey stick where it goes vertical or close to vertical. So definitely looking forward to that date.
And we discussed this on the Sunday chat. California is a large market in the U.S., in the world even, and Tesla was the number 2 auto sold there, behind just the Toyota Camry.
Awesome.
I mean, we're talking just a handful of units, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 units, and they would have surpassed the Camry for the year.
And Camry is a lot cheaper. So yeah, that's a big achievement from Tesla.
Exactly.
Did we lose Casey?
It looks like Casey's losing some internet. Oh, he's back. Okay. All right. Our next story, I'm going to jump over and we're going to take a look at another segment of the auto industry.
GigaFactory.
And let's take a look at this photo that we shared on our Twitter feed, which is, of course, at the Tesla Life.
Oh, this is the first good picture of the frunk.
We've got the open frunk of the Tesla Semi. So cool. That looks pretty cavernous, just based on the photo. It looks really large. Maybe it'll be some of the extra storage for the goods that's being hauled by the truck. Maybe they got a little bit few extra cubic feet that can add to the storage capacity of the trailer. But
not
you can also see
forklift accessible, but
yeah.
I think that's just for the driver to put his lunch.
Put a skid or a pallet in there, absolutely. And you can see the fire extinguisher mounted to the door. That must be a Class 8 truck requirement, I would think.
I think so. Maybe not necessarily to the door, but they always see the sticker, fire extinguisher, and there's an arrow pointing to where it is.
Yeah, they all have fire extinguishers, so it must be some regulation. And of course, you can just see the mirror. It's kind of blended in with the window, but it's a very large mirror. And we were hoping to get rid of the mirror, but of course, that did not happen. So that is interesting to see. And of course, this facility it's in, I believe, is where they're being hand built. So,
looking for that.
You guys hearing me?
Yeah.
I was looking for that photo to try and get a better picture of that frunk.
I can't
So
wait to see these on the road.
yeah, that's PepsiCo still has not received their vehicles yet. That's another kind of, the CEO talked about in Q4 how they were going to receive them before the end of 2021. Well, that didn't happen. Because you can be sure that PepsiCo is going to trumpet that from whatever social media they have. They will definitely be talking about it. But no
Put on the
units have ended
news.
up in their hands yet. Hopefully, that'll happen this month or next.
I'm surprised Tesla's not using these to deliver their cars.
They obviously don't have the volume.
Right.
Like you're right. If wasn't that the plan? Is like, hey, what's the best way to utilize these vehicles? Get them in an actual test roll where they're moving, product between Giga Nevada and Fremont.
Right.
And that would have been the first thing is build a charger, roughly halfway, have that available to you, and start collecting the stats as to the size of load you're taking, how much weight it is, and start tracking what the vehicle can actually do with a payload.
Mm-hmm.
That frunk looks as big as the trunk in our Model X.
Well, we know that we don't expect them to deliver any. The comment at the earnings call was no new vehicles this year, no new models. The supply chain is still a constraint, and so no Roadster, no Cybertruck, no Semi.
Right. But that didn't exclude that Pepsi could have been right, because you could still give them the test units and not
Right.
be breaking the no new products rule.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a development partner, not a customer.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Those are
speaking of a
prototypes.
gigafactory that hasn't slowed down, Casey's got a story about maybe a second one.
Yes. So a government official in China has been caught on WeChat saying that they are laying the groundwork for a new Tesla Gigafactory, or a second one, I should say, not a new as a replacement, but like another one. And the word that they used translated literally into laying the foundation for the implementation of a major new energy vehicle product such as Tesla. And
Such as.
right, so that sounds like they're inviting Tesla to come on in, because the article writer pointed out that Elon said that they'd be looking at where they're going to put the next one in 2022. So this may be a Texas / Oklahoma enticement level event, but they can then also point out and say, hey, look, we have a track record on our last Gigafactory here. Why don't you bring it over here? We could use it.
And it'll be open before Germany.
I was going to say they announce it next week, and the week after it's done.
Right. It's a muddy field. Oh, it's done. Hockey Day's making fun of the fact that I'm drinking not Pepsi and talking about Pepsi.
But it's like
if they want to sponsor me to not talk about Pepsi, they're gonna pay me.
They've exceeded all expectations when it's come to the building of the factory, the deployment of the vehicles, the production line, the timing, all of that. They're breaking records across the board, like every time. So if there's still demand in China, which we believe there is, because of course that plant is also producing some export to Europe as Berlin, we wait for Berlin to be finished. And there still will be some of that even when Berlin opens, because Berlin's just opening with the Model Y. Right. Where are they going to get their threes from? They're probably still going to come from China. So until Berlin can put another line in, and who knows how much red tape that's going to be to put in a second production line. But it makes sense with all the records. They're so pleased with Shanghai and how it's performed that, why would you not fire up a second one and help ease out other factories that are still up and coming, or address the market more, even the local market, be able to produce more, drive the price down, and produce more.
And they've already doubled the existing one and threw in a design center. So, I mean, this may be a case of maybe they've spied on India, and hey, we'll give you a sweeter deal. Here's what we're gonna do. Don't give them the other Asian factory. You can put them both right here.
Right.
And then don't forget
Yeah.
Oz. Oz gets serviced by Shanghai too.
Mm-hmm. And if the Indian government is throwing up red tape and China is not,
They
that's
say, hey,
just
you
the
remember
way it's
Germany? That sounds like Germany, doesn't it? Come on over
Yeah.
here.
Uh-huh.
Remember
Yeah.
Texas? Yeah, we're Texas of the East.
Except you can sell your cars here.
That part.
Yeah. You don't have to ship them to Japan and then turn the boat around and bring it back and sell them here.
Awesome.
Oh. Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, another update on Superchargers. Casey's
Yes.
got that one as well.
Yes. So we've been talking about the supercharging pilot, where they allow non-Teslas to supercharge in Netherlands, France, and Norway. Well, in the Netherlands, it was limited to 10 stations, but as of Valentine's Day, Tesla Charging, the official Tesla supercharging and home charging Twitter mouthpiece, they said non-Tesla vehicles can now charge at all superchargers in the Netherlands via the Tesla app. Learn more at this page here. So let's look at this page here. They gave us a FAQ, an FAQ, which explains that a little bit of the history of the program and how it works. The pricing is still higher than Tesla owners, but if you subscribe to the program, then you'll get currently the same rates as Tesla owners. But
What's the subscription cost?
it wasn't much. What did we say? It was like $10 or $20 a month.
Oh,
So if you charge a lot, it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I like they have the option. You can do it either way.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you're only going to charge once, then it would definitely be cheaper to pay the higher rate. But if you're going to go on like because in Europe you get those better vacations. If you take it all at once, then it might make sense to subscribe for 2 months, 3 months, do your European road trip, and then come back to your home country and turn off the subscription.
So yeah, that's again. It started off with 10, then expanded to France and Norway, and then as mentioned, they just opened up Netherlands with all locations.
Yep.
So I'm wondering if it's going to roll through Europe fairly quickly. Are we going to see other countries come online in the next couple weeks? Are we going to see expanded? I understand why North Americans are a little bit worried. Actually, not North Americans, Californians, people in Arizona. I can see why, because they have such a high percentage of Teslas that they certainly want, they want to make sure that they're not going to be behind a Bolt charging at 50 kilowatts.
Right.
They want to make sure that they can still charge. But if Tesla has said that they are monitoring the usage of these locations, and I'm guessing based on opening the Netherlands completely, that all the Netherlands chargers are being underserved for what they are. So
what I'm hoping we'll see is that one or two of these sites in the Netherlands is California level busy, and they can use that to shape how they're going to do the rollout in the rest of Europe, and eventually when it does come to California, because if they can say we've handled it and then they can prove it, I think that you'll have a lot less pitchforks and torches out than if they just announce it like they did here. It's, hey, it's everywhere. But like you said, the reason they are able to say, hey, it's everywhere is probably because the data shows that the other sites are fine. But I'm hoping that they can also include one or two test cases that they can show the world in there. Not that they have to answer to us, but it would reduce the drama if they could do that.
Yeah, definitely it would. Having the facts on that certainly, because again, where Casey and I live, where Patrick lives, we can tell you that from personal use and charging at a supercharger, that I go to one, there might be two other people at an eight charger. There might be. I might be the only one.
Most of our chargers are more than 10, but even the busy ones, you get the 80% warning. They drop your charge level down to 80%. You scroll it back up if you need it, and that's as close as it gets to being full. Like usually, what happens is even if it does fill up, by the time that first person gets done, the next person is rolling in. There isn't actually a line except for on peak travel days, and even then, we've got 8 other stations within a 15-minute drive. Mega stations, not just the 4s and the 8s, and so. I mean, I'm not talking a 54 stall or 100 stall, but it seems to have been designed correctly around here.
Mm-hmm.
But Patrick and I have both run into the Southern California squeeze.
Mm-hmm.
When we went there on vacation, separate trips, we found the same thing. They are being highly utilized in California at multiple metro areas. I visited San Diego, Los Angeles, the greater Los Angeles area, like the north end of it, and of course, I also visited the Bay Area. All of those chargers, it was more often you would see 1 to 3 available spots in the entire charger. All the times I was there, except for maybe 2, there were somewhere about, it was definitely over 50% being utilized.
Yeah, and I've had a taste of that personally. The only times I've ever had to wait on a supercharger, aside from when I was towing and some jerk would pull into the nose-in spot because they were too lazy to use the camera, were peak travel times. So, and both of them were a cabinet out situation. So one was a V2 cabinet was out at Savannah Airport in the middle of a hurricane evacuation. The getting out was easy. It was the getting back. I had to wait about 6 to 8 minutes because 2 stalls were down with the cabinet being out. And then my Thanksgiving situation where I continue to be embarrassed by my ability to steal a stall when people are bickering about it. I shouldn't have done that, but they weren't moving. They were fighting, and I said, yoink. And that one was a V3 cabinet out, so there were 4 stalls down. So,
yes, indeed. You snooze, you lose. Definitely.
Right.
Maybe those in the chat room, let us know. What do you think? Is this something you'd like to see come to North America or not? Let us know in the comments in the show live chat. Just
and
let
do
us
you
know.
travel in California? You should also answer that before you tell us no.
Yeah, definitely. I'm curious if they're going to have adapters or they're going to have some SAE stalls, or we'll have to wait and see.
Elon described adapters and apps, but
yeah,
I can totally see them doing a dual head charger like they did in Europe.
Yeah, I think that would be a great way to roll it out. If it's some percentage that have that, then you're going to have some dedicated to Tesla owners and some available for everybody else.
Yeah.
Side story, here in Ontario, they started to roll out chargers at a Ontario travel plaza that we have on all the large highways throughout the province. They're called on-routes. And what has happened is they had indicated that they were going to have dedicated Tesla charging as well as CCS and CHAdeMO. And we didn't really know how they were going to do that. Was Tesla participating? Was there something going on that we didn't know? What it turns out is they bought CHAdeMO adapters and figured out a way to attach them to the charging units permanently. And they, of course, now have Tesla cords at all. They're limited to 50 kilowatts, which is what you get with a CHAdeMO. But in a pinch, if that's all that you have available to you, you'll certainly be thankful to have that at a travel plaza.
I wonder if that's something you can get from the parts department if it breaks, because they don't sell it anymore.
Oh, really?
That's a good question.
Or do they have a spare parts inventory when they roll this out?
They probably bought a whole bunch and have them in reserve.
For the copper thieves.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, New Jersey was where I did the cutting, David. It was Elizabeth, New Jersey.
He's got a Casey wanted sign is now at the Supercharger, so he's not going back. Trust me.
We turned around and there was another black Tesla here. It was a Model Y turned into a Model X.
Next, Patrick's got a story about the other Gigafactory that we've left out of today's conversation.
Yes, that's right. Terra, Texas. A carrier full of Model Ys was spotted leaving Giga Texas. So now we're all wondering, what are these vehicles? Where are they going? Are they just test vehicles? But then on the carrier, they have some wrapping on them like you would normally have on customer deliveries. So the speculation is running rampant.
Yeah.
And if you know where these are going, that would be great. Let us know.
So I'm surprised to see that coming out of Texas, they still have the inconsistency of some cars wrap, some cars not. It's like what at Fremont, it was like, well, maybe it's what line they came off of, but what excuse?
No, apparently it's who's working on the line.
Right,
that's what's the difference.
Right, or maybe they're just testing out their wrapping, and these are cars that are going to some crash tests, but they're going to wrap them just because they want to get the wrapping practice down. Yeah, so lots and lots of questions here about where these are going. The cool thing is we know that the Model Ys coming out of Texas have the 4680 cells, they have the structural pack, and now we're seeing them actually manufactured at Texas. And this is really cool because the 4680 is it's a step change in the technology. It's going to enable a lot of vehicles, better margin, better performance. It's what we're going to need for the Cybertruck, the Semi, the Roadster eventually. So this is great to see.
Oh, that picture credit is from Jeff Roberts on Twitter.
Very good, very good. Yeah, that's it's coming. We're bound to get some sort of social media explosion when the first customer gets their vehicle with 4680s installed in them from Texas. So. And we know the first one won't be from Texas. It'll be from outside of Texas. But we are certainly waiting to hear this. Hey, that could have been the vehicle that was going outside of state lines to turn around and come back to Texas.
It could be. Yes.
Could be. They're testing that out to see if it's worth their effort.
Because I would think as a media campaign for Tesla is why would you not have a little bit of a ceremony where the first dozen cars are given to customers or something. Like it's free media. Everyone would eat it up.
Oklahoma, just rub their nose in it. Hey,
yeah, exactly.
We've done this in Texas, but it's illegal.
Yeah, give them to Tesla residents. That would definitely rub their face in it. Definitely. We're not looking to make trouble here. Not at all.
Oh yeah, we are. We're mischievous little gnomes.
Some feathers need to be ruffled. Yes.
Yes.
Patrick's got our next story about space.
That's right. Yes. The internet in space. The number of Starlink user terminals has now topped 250,000. And this is awesome news. This is people getting on the internet. We live in a connected world now. If you do not have access to the internet, you are at a major disadvantage. And there are some spots where that is just not easy to do. Starlink, however, it's plug-in, pointed sky. You have internet, as it should be. So this came from a Musk tweet that says there are over 250,000 Starlink user terminals now. The last data that we had was from June that said that they had 145,000 users and a massive backlog of customers. So now that they've made another 100,000 of these, there are a lot of happy people that will be getting their Starlink terminals soon and be able to start enjoying what it delivers to you, like shows like the Tesla Life on YouTube. So this email has gone out to customers. They've been apologizing for the shipping delays, and they've been hampered by silicon shortages, just as the entire supply chain has during this whole COVID times. So hopefully this is now going to help alleviate that backlog. And the reason I'm selfishly interested in this is the sooner they get a significant number of users online, the sooner they can spin Starlink out into its own company and IPO it, and I can buy some stock in it. That's what I'm really interested in.
Yeah. So mine is.
So that, of course, 250,000 subscribers. That equates to $25 million a month.
If everybody was on basic. Don't forget there's
Yep,
premium.
if
now.
everyone's on basic. And then that also rolls out to 2 or 300 million a year. So that's a good chunk of change. Obviously, they're having to back a space program in order to do this, so that's not cheap. It's not like they're making any money off of this yet. But you can see that once 250,000 grows to 500,000 to 750,000 to 1 million, the numbers go up exponentially. So do the profits. So and we heard about that SpaceX launch of a number of satellites that got burned by the sun. 42 of them were pushed back into the Earth's orbit and burned up. So it's not a sure thing at all. It's quite a risk, but they are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. And of course, that's a boring tunnel as well.
So mine is scheduled to be here next month, and for folks like me, they're very likely getting the new rectangular dishes that need a hardwire connection. You got to buy an extra $20 to $30 adapter to get Ethernet out of the thing, which is fine. But it's just if you were in line like me, an Ethernet was included on Gen 1. And if that was something you were planning on, just FYI, you're going to need to get this adapter if you don't want to do Wi-Fi, or if you've got a spider behind you that does all your Wi-Fi and you don't want to change off of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And our last story of the evening is to talk a little bit again about superchargers. And I've got this story. Casey usually does the superchargers, but he let me have this one.
Yeah.
And what we've got here is a permit was discovered about the building of a new supercharger. And what I'll do here, whoops.
Oh, he left.
Uh-oh.
Wrong
That's
button.
not how you share. Yeah.
He'll be back.
Mark is in timeout for failing to share with others.
Hopefully he just turned off the share and not the whole computer. There he is.
Had a little technical difficulty there.
Hey.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Tesla Life, Mark.
I was gonna, before I was unceremoniously booted myself, I was about to share this particular picture.
Us? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Barstow.
So what we've got here is Barstow, California. We've got a plotted desert that's been marked off as to where the permit exists for. And this apparently is going to be another supersized supercharger, this time being built in the desert, roughly halfway between Los Angeles and Las Vegas. In Barstow.
One of the original supercharger sites?
They already have a supercharger. This is going to be supercharging the supercharger. They're guessing that this could be in the area of 50 to 60 to 70. They really don't know yet. The permit does not state the details of that at this point. There will be an update, but they did find that they had the approval to build it. And the land, as you can see from the photo, was being cleared.
See, if you live in California, you don't have to worry about sharing. Tesla's got that.
Yeah,
right.
So the rollout continues.
Has a 62 stall, so hopefully they can beat that one.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Well, didn't Harris Ranch get up to 99?
Yeah, they get up there. But Barstow was really early. I think they were one of the first 10.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. I've driven through Barstow a couple times, and I think that's the town that has the large thermostat that is close to the highway, showing the desert heat. It was over 100 degrees when I rolled through a couple times. But
so you won't be getting full V3 speeds during the day then.
Yeah, well, hopefully again, this is an ideal place to build, a lounge, to build the solar panels, and of course the Mega Pack assist for saving the energy, storing it up so that they can shave off the peak charges.
Yeah, and since you've got if you've got solar, that then creates a little bit of a heat barrier, so then you'd be able to get more of that V3 goodness, especially if they've aligned it with the wind, the prevailing winds.
Yeah, so keep an eye. We'll definitely keep an eye on it, and follow us on Twitter and on Facebook at the Tesla Life and the Tesla Life #1 on Facebook. And we will keep up on the news stories all throughout the week and keep you up to date as well.
Yeah.
And we certainly thank you. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up for this video. Press that subscribe button if you haven't already. It doesn't cost you anything. Helps us out. Helps the channel. And that would very much be appreciated. Parting words.
Turn that button gray if it's red.
There you go. There you go. Parting words, Mr. Green. What do you got going on at your channel?
So on Sundays we do. If you like this, we do a different style of this every Sunday for anywhere from 1 to 4 hours. Whenever I get tired of talking, whenever you guys get tired of chatting with us. And then I also put up a video this week. I put in a yoke over at youtube.com/KCGreen. That's KACEYGREEN. I put in a yoke in my Model X. A lot of people haven't seen it in the Model X unless it was from Tesla. And it was a fun experience. And we did it, took about 45 minutes from start to finish. The video's not that long, nearly, but it's not that long. Show you how to take the wheel off, put the new wheel on. Huh?
Hours.
and it was a blast. Coming up, I've got 2 battery packs I wanted to look at, which I know doesn't sound that on par, but I mean they're batteries. We're talking electric here. It's, green. And then I've got a video comparing FSD version 10.9 with original maps and updated maps on the editing deck. And then I've got FSD Beta 9 in 10.9 in the rain, also on the editing deck.
Very good. So check out Casey and his channel. Patrick, what do you got going on with Cars with Cords?
Yeah. First, I want to shout out to Casey. I watched the yoke install, and that was pretty cool. There are some aftermarket ones that are not
ugly,
very appealing, and this one was really nice. And yeah, I'm thinking about it.
These people also make, if you have a refresh card, these people also make a round one that doesn't look ugly. It looks really like it belonged there, like the one that Tesla showed off didn't intend to show off. The people spy shotted with the round wheel, where it had everything was where it belonged. The shape was a circle, not trapezoid on top of a yoke.
Right. Yeah, that is one thing that's cool about Tesla's a big enough market with enough enthusiast owners that there are companies that can have an entire business just making accessories for Tesla. So if you want to tweak yours in certain ways, if you want lights installed, or you want a different type of steering wheel or cargo net or whatever, they're all there. So that's really cool. So as Mark said, I write at carswithcords.net occasionally. My latest story is right here. It's a year with oh, look, now I'm up top. I'm moved up.
I can touch it.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so what was a year with Powerwalls like, and how did it go, and how much money did I save, and my experience with that? You can find that at carswithcords.net. And as always, I am with the Oregon Electric Vehicle Association. You can find us at oeva.org. Thank you.
And did the new feature help you at all with that, or did you already have it done before?
What
do you mean?
The charging history feature.
Oh no, I was done before the charging history thing came out. That did not help me at all. No, it'll be much easier next year. But I'm a data guy. I love to collect data. So every month I go out and I have TM Spy, and I collect data from the vehicles, and then of course the solar panels. You get daily data from that, and and I could download my utility bills for the year and plug all those numbers in. So I churned through all that stuff and gave a nice summary of all of it.
There you go.
Looking forward to that. With that, we'd like to thank Lee Moon for the theme music that we use every week. We would like to thank you for watching. And with that, let's get together next week and find out what's going on in the Tesla life. Have a great week, everyone.
Stay positive, test negative.